Back here for another episode of Grand Slam Sports Soccer. My name is Jace Hodge.
My name is Charles Foster.
And today we have some more soccer on tap. Let's go ahead and begin with Eden Hazard. He's retiring at the age of 32 after a few years at Real Madrid where he didn't do too hot. What do you think about that?
I mean, it definitely came as a little bit of a surprise to me. I actually just heard about it this morning. So,
okay.
I mean, it was not something that I was expecting. And 32 is kind of a younger age in soccer, so I was not expecting that at all.
And Hazard had really good years at Chelsea, and he went to Real Madrid and he did injury after injury, and he couldn't find, a strong footing in that Real Madrid squad, unfortunately. And it sucks to see, a player of his caliber retire at this age instead of, trying again to go to maybe back to like a Chelsea or back to the Premier League, try to, stay healthy and play some good football. But unfortunately for him, retiring at the age of 32, sad to see. He's a legend of the game, even though he didn't produce in Real Madrid.
Of course.
Move towards Manchester City in the Premier League, losing to Arsenal at the weekend, their third straight loss and second straight in the Premier League, losing 1-0 on a Gabriel Martinelli deflection goal in the late 80th minute.
I should have kept my pick. That's what I got to say. Last week I was going to go with Arsenal, and because they did not have Saka, I backed away from my pick. I should have stayed strong. I was definitely surprised by this one. I thought that Man City had that one in the bag. I knew that Arsenal would give them some problems, but I was not expecting a win. I was expecting a draw at most.
And I was telling you guys last week about how Man City had a few players out like Rodri, no Stones. Without Rodri, City has lost all 3 of those games since he's been on that red card. The one game he played in between there in the Champions League, they won.
Unfortunately, it's injuries it's that time of the season, especially when you're a top team like Arsenal, like Man City, where it's not just league games. You're playing in Europe. You're playing in other games that are going to divert your attention. Your players are going to need to sit out sometimes for even just rest reasons, but mostly because injuries, red cards, things like that happen. It's hard for teams, especially like Man City, who are playing in, I'm pretty sure, every single tournament that they can play in right now.
Always.
It's not easy.
I mean, it sucks to see, I'm a City fan. It sucks to see us lose to Arsenal after owning Arsenal for so many years. We had lost them in the Premier League for I don't even know how many years it's been that long. Unfortunately, Mikel Arteta, the old Man City assistant under Pep, finally getting his win at the Emirates against City. And Arsenal's been a tough opponent now for City. They've won both games against them this year, including the Community Shield in the preseason tournament. So Arsenal is going to be a tough test this year, and they're currently tied atop of the table in the Premier League heading into the international break with Tottenham. And Tottenham, can they sustain this title charge here? They are currently tied first with Arsenal.
We talked about this a few weeks ago, and we were talking about, is it just beginner's luck? And for me, I said, I don't think it is. And they're proving it now 2 weeks later. They're still riding hot. I think this is a team that's finally finding their identity. They're finally figuring out what works for them. And I think that really helps. This team, they had so much talent before, but it's all about, once again, a lot of teams have talent. It's about how you use it. And I feel like the team's finally figuring out how to use it this year.
And Tottenham's looked impressive. Harry Kane now in Bayern Munich, but it's been all of Son Heung-min and then James Maddison now coming in from Leicester after they got relegated. He's been really impressive, getting assist after assist for that Tottenham team. And the new manager is absolutely flying with this team, and I think they can sustain the charge here, possibly win the title this year. I mean, obviously, Tottenham, not a very, trophy-heavy team in the past, but you never know what they can do here. Let's look over at Manchester United now. They got the huge win over Brentford. Him right there, Scott McTominay, scoring 2 goals in stoppage time to defeat Brentford and finally get Man United a win.
It's funny because who would have thought a few years ago that we'd be excited about Manchester United beating Brentford? I mean, this is a team that is historically one of the best teams in all of Europe, and we know them as that. So seeing them it's such a big win over Brentford, it just feels weird to me. It's not something I'm used to. And I think, it's comeback wins like that. That's how you build character for a team that's struggling so much to come back in stoppage time with both goals. I mean, that's how you get your entire locker room pepped up.
But they struggled in that game, really. They were down 1-0 almost the entirety of the game off of a tough miss save by Onana. He's still having his struggles for United team. Yeah. I know you as an Inter fan, he played good in Inter.
I loved him in Inter, one of my favorite players.
And he came to United, and now he just has lost his way in keeping. He's had more than a few now, mistakes at the back there for United. But Scott McTominay came in 80th minute, scored 2 goals, 90th minute stoppage time to win the game against Brentford and finally get the Red Devils a win. They needed that desperately.
They really did need that. I think it's interesting because you see these players that have come to Man U and they were really good before coming to Man U and kind of just getting there. They kind of stopped, especially like Onana's like the first one that comes to mind. I followed him in Inter, obviously. I'm an Inter fan. And seeing his struggles, it's been confusing. You wonder, I feel like it's partially the pressure. Like he knows, like, oh, if I make a mistake, I'm going to be everywhere now. And that's been the way it's been. Every single time Onana has been a mistake, if he looks at any social media platform, he's going to see himself bashed. And that's been a problem for him.
But how about Scott McTominay? You know, not playing much this season, coming in scoring 2 goals out of nowhere. He's been scoring all year for Scotland in the international games, but now he comes in for United, scores 2 goals off the bench. He hasn't been playing many minutes at all. Has he earned more minutes because of that?
I mean, it depends. It's these big teams, as we always know, have insane depth. And you get to see those players that are extremely talented that on about 80% of the teams in their leagues would be starting 100%. So it's hard to say if he's willing to start or not, but it's nice to always know that you have that depth still with Manchester United.
Let's go ahead and look over at some American soccer. The MLS, the playoffs are coming up here. I know me and you don't really watch this too much, but guys talk about it here. The playoffs are coming up. These stars right here signify that the team has clinched a playoff spot, so still a few teams get to clinch. The entire Eastern right here is all set in stone, except for the 8-9 wildcard game. And looking over here at the western side, still the 7 seed has not clinched in the 8-9 as well. But the MLS playoffs are coming up here in a few weeks. There's 2 match days left. What are you seeing about this that impresses you?
First thing that I see is Orlando City. They've been a team that we've heard about them since the beginning of this year. To see them doing as good as they have been towards the top almost the entire year. I've really enjoyed this team, but something that's kind of surprised me, because last time I checked, I could be wrong, Atlanta United, they were near the top of the table. Seeing them at 6 is definitely not something I was expecting.
In Atlanta, they have, the biggest crowd behind them. They play in the Falcon Stadium, Mercedes-Benz, and they sell it out almost every game. They have the best crowd behind them, the best fans behind them. So it doesn't surprise me to see them being a playoff squad consistently. But how about FC Cincinnati? Right here near Indianapolis area, they have been dominant the entire year. They won the Supporters Shield, which is the #1 team in the MLS all season long, and they have been impressive the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, coming in #1, like the stakes are going to be high here because, I mean, they don't know who they're playing against yet, which that's not always fun. But there is that pressure because you have been the best all year. And there's that concern that, hey, maybe once we get to the playoffs, we could lose one of those games and we could be out. Just like that.
Out of the East, who's your pick to get out of the East and win the Eastern Conference title?
I got to do the safe bet here. I got to go Cincinnati here.
All right.
It's a safe bet.
I'm going to go with Philadelphia Union coming out. I think they can beat Atlanta. I think they'll be at home. I think they beat Orlando. I think they just have just enough power to get past Cincinnati in Cincinnati. It's a hot pick maybe, but I think the Union can get into the MLS Cup final. Looking over at the Western Conference, LAFC, as we're accustomed to, they won it all last year. No surprise that they're there. But how about the newcomers? St. Louis City, #1 in the West.
Man, I could not have told you that would happen. Honestly, I thought that it was LAFC. I mean, they're the team that you kind of like. They're one of the teams that you just know from the MLS. Even if you don't watch MLS, the LA teams, both of them are normally the teams that you just kind of think of first. So seeing them not in first place is definitely a shock for me this year.
And I'm an LA Galaxy fan. They're my MLS team, and they have not been good the entirety of the year, even with the star power they have, especially in the midfield. But unfortunately, they aren't going to be a playoff team this year. They were out of it officially 2 match days ago, so not really close there. But Timbers looking to clinch, so are San Jose and FC Dallas. Dallas, they have some good players like Ferrer and their squad, and they should be able to make a run if they get in.
I think Dallas wins that one. Jesus Ferreira, I like watching him play.
If they get in, they're right on the edge right now of the 9.
I think that he comes out of the wild card.
And still some good teams here. You have Houston Dynamo. They won the Open Cup. They can compete and maybe go all the way. Real Salt Lake, they're a good squad. This is their 7th straight appearance in the MLS playoffs. Seattle Sounders. It's the Seattle Sounders. Come on, they're always here.
They're always good. Yeah.
So out of the West, who do you got?
I'm once again going with another safe bet. I'm going with LAFC, actually. I think that this team, despite not being #1, is still the best team in the MLS. I think that they come out on top.
I'm going to agree with you.
Finally.
Finally? What do you mean?
That'll be one of the first times we've ever agreed on a playoff pick.
So I think it'll be LAFC versus Philadelphia in the final. Give me LAFC to go back-to-back. What about you?
I'm going to be a little bit different. Give me FC Cincinnati to
There's
beat
the differences
LAFC.
Again.
We got to be a little bit different. We can't have the same championship predictions. I'm going to go Cincinnati beating LAFC to win the championship.
We'll do our official predictions once the playoff bracket is set in stone for sure here in a few weeks. Let's move to the internet, to Messi, I should say. He's going to stay in Miami amid the rumors of going to Barcelona on loan.
I mean, it's happy. I think he's going to stay here for the rest of his career, honestly. I mean, it'd be nice to get him in those little dream spots, those places that we wanted to see him that we all wanted to see him go back to. but he's moved down to Florida. He likes it down in Miami. And that's part of the reason that he made the decision to go to Miami, because it was a place that he could live and spend most of the rest of his life in. So I think that he stays there despite, not being able to go to a team like Barca, play in the Championship League. He gets a chance to stay in a place that he wants to be and have his family.
Because last week we were discussing how he might go back to Barcelona. There's rumors swirling around everywhere. He might go back to Barcelona on loan in January, since the seasons don't collide in the MLS and over in Europe. So he could go to Europe for the rest of the season, play in the Champions League, play in La Liga, try to win more trophies there, and then come back to Miami once MLS starts back up. But those rumors were shut down by both Barca, Messi, Miami. Everyone said it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Messi's staying in Miami. He's happy there, and he will continue to play with Argentina as well in the international games. So Messi is here to stay in America. Let's look over towards America. They have 2 games coming up here, international break. They have Germany and Ghana, 2 bigger games compared to last one. They had Oman and some other Middle Eastern country. 2 bigger games. Finally, the U.S. is playing some big-time opponents. First one, though, Germany. That one's enticing, isn't it?
Yes, Germany is going to be a tough one. I mean, Germany, they're known as one of the best countries for all of football. And watching these 2 teams play, I think it's going to be a real statement for U.S. because they're not really expected to win this one. So you gotta come into this game not looking like, hey, we need to win this game. You guys just need to show what you guys can do. Because coming to these big tournaments that are coming up soon, if you guys can't beat or draw these teams or beat these teams, that could cause a problem. You're not gonna go anywhere. Yeah. So this is one of those games. This is one of those games you look into it, see who performs in the bright lights against the top teams. This is going to be an important game for them.
And the game's kind of overshadowing the next game versus Ghana. And Ghana, has historically been a U.S. rival in a lot of World Cups. They're constantly facing each other. They aren't a bad squad.
Ghana's not a bad squad.
They have really good players.
They have a lot of good players. A lot of the good players that you see are normally playing in the French league right now. They're a fun team to watch, and I really enjoy watching Ghana. And they have one of the best fan bases behind them. Ghana fans love their country, obviously. And this game will be closer than people think. I don't think this is going to be... I actually don't know where this one's going to go.
I think it's going to be a draw if I had to pick. I think it'll be a 1-1 or 2-2 with Ghana, because Ghana is a really good squad. You cannot overestimate them. I know this U.S. team has high aspirations for the future with the young squad they have. I don't think they're there yet.
Ghana's also young as well. Ghana has a lot of those young kids that we think could be really big in the future. I think that Ghana is going to be one of those countries, give it about 10, 15 years, that they're going to actually be able to make names in the World Cup because of how much young talent they have coming out.
If you had to pick for USA-Germany, that game being played in Connecticut in a few days, what's your pick on that?
Germany.
It's
a safe bet.
Germany's been struggling recently in international games. They have had their big struggles against European opponents, but is it different playing a CONCACAF opponent compared to a UEFA?
Yeah. I mean, playing in the U.S. against the U.S., it's obviously going to be a struggle, but it's not like they're going in against one of those big top teams. The U.S., they're still young. They're still trying to find their identity. They're still trying to figure out starters. I think that Germany got it in this one.
Let's go ahead and look ahead to after the international break. Let's look at some tables right now. Here is the Serie A with your Inter Milan and my AC Milan. And look who's top of the table right now. I don't care that you won. What was it, 5-1 a few weeks ago? AC Milan's top of the table right now. If you want to go ahead and take a look there, top 5, Milan, Inter, Juventus, Fiorentina, and Napoli. What do you see after the international break from some of these teams that can maybe come back in the league, or who's going to sustain a title charge here?
Seeing Roma and Lazio this low, definitely shocking. Lazio is one of those teams that I thought was going to stay near the top. I mean, they have a good team now. They did lose. I can't remember his name, but their center fielder, he went to Saudi Arabia. Losing him was big. I know there's one of their captain, if I remember correctly, or is Immobile. Roma, another one of those teams. They got a lot of talent. They just haven't figured it out yet. I'm really excited because
Fiorentina.
They're not normally this high.
They're usually more like 7 or 8, kind of behind all the top ones of like Milan, Inter, Juve, Atalanta.
Yeah, they normally get in Europe, but they're normally in like the bottom of Europe. They're not normally playing Champions League. They're not normally in that spot, but they actually have a chance to come out this time.
It's a bit early, but let's go ahead and predict the top 4 in order. So number 4, who you got?
Number 4, I'm going Napoli.
Napoli.
Yes.
My number 4, I'm going to go with Atalanta.
I like that pick.
Atalanta, I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about them.
They're my number 5.
Number 5?
It's a safe bet. Yeah.
Number 3, what you got?
Juventus.
I'm going to say Napoli.
Ooh, okay. You got Juventus? No.
I have Juve falling out into 5th place once again. I just don't like the kind of football they play.
I don't either, but I
it's
can't
very
deny
boring,
talent.
Not fun to watch football. Someone picked me in 5th. But now to our top 2. Our 2 teams. I'm AC Milan, you're Inter Milan.
After seeing the way
Who's your champion?
After seeing the way the Inter Milan has been playing these past few years, not only this year, I'm going into Milan winning it all
to
this
win the
year.
whole thing?
I do. I think that they just have the better team right now. AC Milan, they may be at number 1 right now, but whenever it's come to European play, they've been kind of struggling. They've not been looking as good as we've expected from them. So I do think that Inter does take that top spot.
I'm going to go with Captain America, Christian Pulisic, and they have Yunus Musa as well. AC Milan to win it. I don't care that you won 5-1. I think AC Milan's just a better squad overall. I think they have a more complete squad.
That's fair.
So I'm going to pick AC Milan to win the Serie A. Let's go ahead and move to Spain, La Liga. With Real Madrid currently in first, Girona in second, surprisingly, Barcelona in third, Atletico in fourth, and then Athletic Club Bilbao in fifth.
Man, first thing I'm going to say, we have a habit of looking at teams at the bottom that should not be there.
Sevilla, what are you doing down there?
Seeing this team down this low is a shock. They actually are.
I mean, you can't even Villarreal.
Oh, I didn't even see them down there. Yeah, no, these teams, they're gonna figure out their stride. They're not gonna finish down in these bottom four teams.
And Sevilla was down there before they signed Sergio Ramos, and now they have Ramos in the back, and they're gonna keep making their way up that table slowly but surely. And they've been doing well in the Champions League too. They're top of the group with Arsenal, PSV, and Lens in their group. They're top of that group right now.
They're a good team. I enjoy watching them play. I think that they do play a really good brand of football, and I think that they're gonna come back up. It's just a matter of when and where.
Who's your top four?
Top four. All right, I'm going to go at number 4. I'm going to go with Real Sociedad.
That's a safe pick.
I think that's a safe pick. They're the better of these teams that are still left. I think that Girona goes down eventually. They're hot. Their Cinderella story is going to end soon. I think that Real Sociedad is a safe pick, but watch out for Athletic Club. I like their team this year.
My number 4, Sevilla.
Oh.
They're going to make their way all the way back up. I believe in them. I really do. Number 3.
I respect that. Number 3, I'm going to go with Atletico. They're a great team. I think that their team is fun. And they even beat Madrid. They look good, but there's just no beating.
Number 3, Barcelona. Throw some hot picks in here in Spain.
Throw some hot picks.
My number 2 is going to be Atletico. Number 1, Real Madrid.
Real
Madrid's just the best team. Real Madrid's just far and away the best team. You see Bellingham scoring a goal basically every game to win the game.
Their team is ridiculous.
They have so many midfielders. One thing they're missing, though, is a striker.
I think that coming into the January transfer window, we're going to see that kind of change. There's a lot of strikers that are kind of, looking for a new home right now, especially with Victor Osimhen. That could be a good pickup for them.
Absolutely.
And he's been on my radar for them for a while, and I think that they do make that jump. They got the money. They got the prestige.
Let's go ahead and go to Germany now, the Bundesliga, where you currently have Bayer Leverkusen, VfB Stuttgart in second, but above Bayern. Bayern's in third, Dortmund in fourth, and then Hoffenheim in fifth place. Leipzig, you can't underestimate them ever. They're in sixth place. But looking down towards the bottom, Union Berlin, they're a Champions League team this year down in 13th place. Could the Champions League games be affecting, how they...
Yes.
Subs and everything?
Absolutely. I think that Union Berlin's one of those teams that they're just not as deep as some of the other Champions League teams. And whenever they're playing these extra tournaments, they just don't have the manpower.
And then Cologne down there in 18th. They're always in the Bundesliga. They never go down, but they're down in 18th right now.
And once again, I think
that's last place in the Bundesliga.
This is one of those things where they're going to go up. I don't think they get relegated, but I don't think they're going to make any splashes. I think that they just kind of stay middle of the card.
Let's get the big question out of the way. Is Bayern Munich going to win the league once again? Yes or no?
I want to say no, but I know I'm going to be wrong. I think that Bayern still wins. Leverkusen, watch out for them. They have a phenomenal team.
They're a phenomenal manager as well.
I absolutely love everything about Leverkusen. I just don't think they're ready yet. I think they got a year or two until they're going to pass
I think they are.
Wow.
Give me Xabi's side to win the Bundesliga over Bayern Munich. I think they win on the last match day. I think it comes down to the last match day. I think
it's going to be fun.
I think Dortmund will stay in third or fourth area. They just don't have the squad as they have had the last few years.
Yeah.
Losing Bellingham, they didn't really sign anyone major over the transfer window. I think they stay in third.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and now move to the French League, Ligue 1. Monaco in first, and they have an American, the striker, Florent Balogun.
Yeah.
Nice is in second, PSG in third, struggling by their terms. Stade Brestois in fourth, and then Stade de Reims in fifth.
This is definitely not the table I'm used to seeing in the French league. I'm used to seeing PSG up and away. Seeing them, they're still pretty close.
Yeah.
But
by their terms, they're struggling though.
I like this top 3.
Yeah.
All 3 of these teams have a chance to make a splash in their league. OM, another team I love, and
Lille out there in 7th as well.
One of my favorite teams in the French league. Actually, my favorite team in the French league, Lyon.
17th.
Down at the
currently
bottom.
Currently in the relegation zone.
What is happening?
They have been struggling the entire season, only on 3 points. through 8 games played. Can they come back out of that and try to make the way back up the table, just even top 5 to get a European spot next year? No.
They're not going to get relegated. I think that's pretty safe to say. But they're not coming out in a spot.
And is Lens also kind of there with the Union Berlin, their first year in the Champions League, struggling with squad depth and whatnot?
It's teams like that aren't used to being in the Champions League, aren't used to playing in Europe in general, that whenever they get to Europe, they just don't have the depth. They don't have the pieces to stay alive in a long season against a team like PSG, which has arguably a better bench than almost all these teams have better starters.
Probably.
So it's hard for a team like Lens that is, playing in Europe and they're playing their players constantly. It's hard to stay afloat.
Who's winning? You think PSG wins it again?
I think PSG comes out on top. I think that's a safe bet. If anyone other than PSG comes out on top, though, it's Monaco. I think they keep their first spot.
PSG winning this league by 5-6 points.
Yeah.
I don't have any doubts. Let's move over to the biggest league in England, the Premier League. Table looking a bit different than we're accustomed to. Yeah, United and Chelsea down in 10th and 11th. Your Palace is in 9th. My City's in 3rd. But you have the North London teams of Tottenham and Arsenal up in 1st and 2nd. And then even Villa and Brighton, they were surprisers last year, grabbing up European spots. They're in 5th and 6th, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fun league. And this is honestly one of the most fun Prem leagues I've watched in a very long time because I don't know what's going to happen. We talked about a few weeks ago the invincible season possibility for Manchester City.
They've lost 2 games since.
They have lost 2 games since, and one of them was the day after. And guess who it was to? The Wolves. I mean, that's fun. I like that. I don't like leagues that are predictable. That's why I'm not a really big fan of the Bundesliga or watching French football. Having no idea who's going to win is very fun. And honestly, any of these teams could come out on top this year because that's what makes it so fun. And I really like it because you have a team like Arsenal. They can go against a team like Palace and actually still struggle.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, we're going to have Tottenham
It's the most competitive league in the
Wolves.
world, always has been, always will be, in my opinion.
And it's extremely fun. I love it.
And then down in the relegation zone, Sheffield United, only 1 draw to 8 games. They are struggling massively back in the Premier League for the first time in a few seasons. Can they get back up the table, or are they probably done in the dust now?
I'm not going to let you. This relegation zone is about what I thought it would be. Other than Bournemouth, I didn't think they'd be getting relegated this year. I thought that they would, survive.
I know preseason, I predicted them to get relegated, but I didn't think Burnley would be 18th. They're coming out of the championship with Vincent Kompany as the coach. I thought they'd be more in the 12-13 area already, but they're down in 18th still. They're still struggling. I mean, maybe you should have expected it.
Yeah.
Because newly promoted teams don't really do well. We've seen teams do it before, top 8 or 9, but. Yeah. I mean, Burnley struggling right now. Luton Town, though, trying to make it out 17th right now. They have the smallest stadium I've ever seen for a Premier League team at Kenilworth Road. But they're in 17th right now. They're trying to survive. Can they do it?
Yeah, I think that they survive this. I think that this top 3 is as set in stone as it's going to be. I think Everton just got too much talent compared to these 4 teams.
Everton keeps escaping.
They always escape. And they're going to keep on escaping for a while.
Now.
I mean, Everton's one of those teams, like they got just enough talent to be a Prem League, but too much talent to be in the second league. If they go down, they're just going to win and go right back up. That's how I feel about it. So.
And what's nice this year, the Champions League expands next season, so it adds 4 more teams in. That means more than likely, if the England teams perform well in Europe, they will have 5 spots for the Champions League next season.
That'd be very fun.
So some of these teams like Villa or Brighton or West Ham could get a Champions League spot next season.
That'd be very, very fun. I'm excited
or
to see that.
If a Chelsea can move back up, they've been hot recently. They're finally finding form after about a year and a half, 2 years of really struggling.
Took a while, but they're
coming back up now. I mean, even United, you can't count them out.
Yeah.
But who was your top 4?
Top 4, I'm going at number 4. I'm going with Liverpool. I think they're going to stay.
Number 4, give me the Tottenham Hotspurs.
Ooh, okay.
I just don't think they can sustain it. Like I said earlier, I was joking a little bit. I don't trust Spurs at all to win a trophy.
At number 3, I'm going to go with Arsenal. A little spicy pick. Arsenal at number 3.
My number 3 is going to be Arsenal.
Ooh.
I had agree. We agree on that one. Number 2.
Number 2, I'm going Tottenham. I think that with them not having any tournaments, like any extra stuff going on this year, they can fully focus on the Prem. They got the talent to be at the top. The only reason they're not going to win the league is because Manchester City is just too talented.
Liverpool, 2nd for me.
Okay.
Man City, I just think they have the talent. I think eventually they'll figure it out. Pep Guardiola and co. When they get, all these injuries out of the way, once De Bruyne gets back, once Rodri gets back from red card, Stones, everyone, they're basically unbeatable.
Yeah, this team is insanely talented. Like I said, they'll be fine.
I think City should win the Premier League, and I'm glad you agree.
Yeah.
But that'll do it for our Grand Slam Sports Soccer section. Thank you for watching. My name is Jay Saj.
My name is Charles Foster.